It's Friday, October 8th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a program of the Tech Podcast Network, and we got a great show for you. It's been a little bit of a rough start. I'm actually about 20 minutes late because of Firefox, but I got a great lineup for you. Tonight we're going to be talking just on a few of the articles that I have lined up for you. We're going to be talking about Apple's newest threat, Glassgate. We're going to talk about the FBI coming knocking. Not here, thank goodness. Libya, they may not have nukes, but they have the .ly extension and how they're revoking it in some instances. We're going to talk about Facebook groups, and we're going to talk about the DMCA and political free speech. You guys know what comes next. Strap in. Here it comes.
All right, people, I need a go, no-go for the Geek News Central podcast. Digital archive recorders.
We're go fly.
Microphone.
We're go fly.
Video feed.
Go.
Web browser.
Go.
RSS data stream aggregator.
Go fly.
Interflux Toddism suppressor.
All right. I'm confused.
Host readiness check.
Welcome to the show. Welcome to the show.
The Geek News Central podcast is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. All right, ladies and gentlemen, we are ready to go. Cue Todd in
5,
Button, who's got the button?
4,
There is no cause for alarm.
3,
Everybody hold on to something.
2,
Just press the button.
1.
Aloha and welcome to the Geek News Central podcast, coming to you as live as it can be from the beautiful state of Hawaii via the Geek News Central studio overlooking Greater Oahu. Well, here we are, folks. We're show number 617. I think that's the number tonight. And of course, this is October 8th, 2010. We are really one day truly away from the 6-year anniversary of the show here at Geek News Central. And you know, we always have a big hoopla every 100, but I got a few things lined up for you tonight. It's kind of special. I'm just going to show you real quick. We're not going to spend a lot of time on it because we talk about a lot of this stuff on every 100th show, but it's going to be a little fun. We're going to have a little bit of fun here, and then, of course, lots of tech as well. Hey, I want to give a warm welcome to the Ahana, all of you that have been longtime subscribers of the show. I know that there are a handful of you that have been here since show number 1. And to listen to 618 shows over the past 6 years is pretty remarkable. It really is. And you are the reasons why I continue to do this show, why I'm here month after month, week after week, and really bring this show really twice a week. It's because of you and your warm and loving support over all these years. We have listeners that are tuned into the show from 178 countries worldwide. Of course, when I say tune in, it means that really what they are doing is they are subscribed to the show, they're downloading it, they're getting it into their portable media devices, and that's really how this thing all started, was the ability to be able to download a media file automatically while we sleep and have it sync to our mobile device, and then boom, we were able to take that content with us. And I used to really talk about it being the power of walk-away content. Today, things have changed. We're streaming right now on Ustream. Finally, after Ustream finally decided I had enough time in the penalty box, we're up on Justin.tv. The show gets recorded, and it gets pushed up to our Boxy app, gets pushed into to the Roku device, which really, literally thousands of you are watching via the Roku. Of course, it's still delivered via podcast. Many of you get it via iTunes, Zune Marketplace. There's just so many different ways to listen, stream, and so forth. It's the full gambit at this point. And however you get the show, thanks for getting it, and thanks for staying subscribed. Really, the main way to stay in contact with the show, though, is to sign up for the newsletter. The newsletter contains everything that I cover during the show. I send it out immediately following the end of the show, after the show is posted, so that you will have a rundown of everything that I cover in the show. A couple of you said you haven't gotten it in the last couple of shows, so we're going to look into that. But I do want to say one thing. There was a number of you that got a looping audio file. And what we found out was that our CDN had asked us to try a new, basically it was a new byte system, or I don't know the technical terms. But what it was doing was for long-form content like mine, and of course I go, an hour and 15, hour and 20 every show, was that it really wasn't good. So we asked them, hey, we're having some people that are not getting the full show. Matter of fact, they're getting the full show, but it repeats every 5 minutes. So that's been fixed. So you shouldn't see that anymore. I want to thank you for your patience on that. And really, because my show's really long, we would have never have known otherwise unless you guys did the holler up and say, hey, something's going on. Really, and true, after 6 years here and doing this show twice a week, my family has built out my every Monday and Thursday night. It's just a given now because they know that the show must go on. It's like the mail being delivered. But really, the mail wouldn't get delivered and the show wouldn't get delivered without our sponsor. Longtime sponsor here, GoDaddy.com, is, really the essence of, they've been here since June. They've been with me here since June of 2005. And really, they keep the bills paid around here. They keep my lights on. And one thing I love about them, even I had an issue. What I did yesterday was I had some servers to renew. And I renewed a couple of servers. I was talking with Angelo on the phone this morning. He said, dude, I told you not to renew that one server. We're going to go month to month on that because it's the servers we've had the longest. He said, I want to upgrade that to their newer server. He said, I moved everything off there. He says, that thing's, I just want to pull one more thing off. Get a refund. And I was like, I don't know if I can get a refund or not. So I called GoDaddy up and they said, oh, yeah, no problem. We'll just, you want to go month to month? I said, yeah, let's go month to month. And no questions asked. He refunded me 11 months of server renewal and, $1,200 or $1,000. I think it was what it was for a year's or 10 months or 11 months, whatever it was we refunded. And they didn't even ask a question. They didn't even care. And I thought, man, this is why I love GoDaddy.com. And I had up on the screen just a second ago some of their hosting accounts. They've got economy plans that start at $4.99 all the way up to $14.99. And if you compare this with other hosting services out there, really, you can't beat it. So when you're thinking about buying a domain name, really consider coming over to GoDaddy.com or have a hosting account, whatever it may be. And if you want to save some money, all you got to do is go over and pick up one of my promo codes. And you go to geeknewscentral.com/GoDaddy. Geek5 will save you 15% on any order $20 or more. Todd will save you 10% on non-domain orders. Todd 20 if you'll save you 20% on a 1-year shared hosting account. Central, get $10 off any order of $50 or more. ComSale.com renewal discounts. ComSale 2, $7.49.com. So there's just a huge selection of codes. And hey, pick them up at GoDaddy, and we appreciate GoDaddy for being a longtime sponsor here at Geek News Central. All right, let's talk just a quick few seconds about the schedule. Leave for Blog World Tuesday night, and so I'll have one more show here in the studio, and then the TriCaster gets loaded up, gets shipped FedEx to Elkhart, Indiana, where it's going to its new home with Andy McCaskey and SDR News and his new production. I'm going to be gone about 10 days or so. And before I get back here, hopefully by then, the new TriCaster has been delivered. If it's not, we're going to do the show a little bit different way for the 2 shows that I'm home. And then I get on an airplane and I'm off to a variety of stops. I'll be gone 23 days, I think, is what my travel schedule is. So we'll have 6 shows on the road starting in November, right up through Thanksgiving. So busy schedule. But 3 more shows here in the studio, and then it's going to be a while. It really, really will. So it'll be kind of weird. But anyway, that's the schedule. If you're coming out to Blog World, I hope you'll come to my session. My session is going to, we're going to give away a prize. Actually, I'm going to give away a Roku. So if you're coming, you have a chance to win a Roku at my session. So I hope you'll come to it if you're at Blog World. Morning Tech Show, I talked with Rick actually over at blogworld.com, blogworldexpo.com. And I said, basically Rick said, I'm sorry I couldn't make it Saturday. I had had this emergency. We talked about this in the last show. So Rick is committed to coming on, even though he's got, a show launching in a couple of days. He is going to be on our Morning Tech Show Saturday. We'll be starting at 9 a.m. Pacific, 12 noon Eastern. I hope that you'll join us for that. I'll have one other guest on. I'm rounding up another individual to be on. And then, of course, my mom is in from Michigan, so Sherry from the Sherry Cast will be here. And we'll figure out how to get her in the studio so she can participate as well. Hey, we got the Roku to give away for our Millions and Millions Served giveaway. Now, I received a huge number of entries of people guessing how many downloads that this show at 617, 618 shows has been able to deliver. Now, what I did is I went back all the way to really about I kind of had to do some statistics on like the first 40 or 50 shows because we really didn't have great numbers and we were doing things all over the place and servers were everywhere. I have a good idea what that number was. And some of you came really close and some of you were really a long way off. I was actually talking at the dinner table tonight. I said, should I announce what the actual number was or is? And I'm going to go ahead. I've trusted you guys in the past, so we'll see if we bring the haters out or not. But since the show has been running since October 9th of 2004, not including the CES coverage, let me give you an idea of what we're running on the CES coverage. We've delivered about 60 million downloads on the CES coverage. That would include the coverage that Andy, Jeffrey, and I do together as a team. So a combined effort of about 60 million downloads over the past 5 years. Some of those have been bigger, some have been lower, video, audio, the whole 9 yards. So about 60 there. As near as I could figure, this show has been downloaded 45,500,000 times, just shy of that, since October 9th of 2004. And really, I got to, how could that be? And I worked the numbers and worked the numbers and worked the numbers. I did them twice, talked to a friend of mine. It all made sense. But what an amazing ride it has been. Thanks for being with me. And Phil Olberg, you are my Roku winner. Congratulations. You were about 120,000 off or so. So congratulations to Phil. He's our winner, and we'll get that out to him. So congratulations. I'm going to kind of just share it with you guys, just something. I've got Winamp loaded here. And what I have is, you guys know that on show number 1 and 2, I broke all the rules in podcasting. I played RI controlled music. Matter of fact, I played AC/DC for the opening music of the show. I did a whole bunch of stuff that really could have, and the way I've talked about the RIAA over the years would have really made me a target by them. So show number 1 and 2 is pretty much non-existent in the system. So what I've got is I've got the show from October 16th, 2004, which was a 44-minute show, and I'm going to start the show. I'm just going to play. So you guys, think about where we've been and where we've come, how we've come. So here's this would probably be show number 3, I think, is how it works out. And it's a tragedy that I didn't save good copies of show number 1 and 2. They're around here somewhere, but I dug through all the archive stuff. But this is the best I could come up with. We're just going to play a short sample and come back to the content. So here we go. Hello, everybody. It's Friday, October 16th, and yes, you are listening to another session of the Geek News Central podcast. I'm Todd, and I have a whole bunch of stuff to go through today, and hopefully we can get through it in short order so that you can get on to listening to other podcasts that are out there. I know there's a lot of people fighting for recognition right now, but thanks for tuning in. Hey, I've got... Okay, anyway, so some elements are almost the same. It's been a successful formula. Okay, here's an intro from... Let's go fast forward 2 years to 2005. And let's listen to this beginning of the show and how it was just 1 year later. It's Friday, October 28th, and you're listening to the Geek News Central podcast, sponsored by GoDaddy.com. Geek News Central is a proud member of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. Please visit techpodcast.com. I got a lot of things to say, folks. Better strap in. This is going to be one you won't forget. Here it comes. Remember this?
This is the Geek News Central podcast, part of the Tech Podcast Network. If it's tech, it's here. So grab a cup of coffee, take a seat, and crank up that volume. Because you're listening to Todd on the Geek News Central podcast.
Wow, that intro, I think we used that intro for like 3.5 years. And of course, from there on, it's been, from downhill or uphill or whichever way you want to look at it. And I was actually pulling some data for the video portion, and we've been doing the video now for, it looks like about a year and a half. I think I started in May of 2009 is when I started doing May of 2008 is when I started doing the video portion. And matter of fact, that's part of my presentation at Blog World. I'll be talking about the progression of the show over time. Most of you guys will be able to skip the first 10 minutes of the Blog World presentation because I'm just going to do some case building, but pretty fun stuff. But anyway, I didn't want to play too much because we've done this before. But year 6 is here. And thanks for being along for the ride. I greatly appreciate it. Let me go ahead and get into my regular list here. Hey, of course, we're still looking for writers. If you want to write for Geek News Central, all our paid spots are filled. If you want to come on as basically an apprentice or whatever we want to call and do a few guest posts from time to time, drop me an email at geeknews@gmail.com. And then you'll be in line as if we lose a paid writer, we'll be able to bring you up into that spot. So geeknews@gmail. Of course, if you have any comments on tonight's show, geeknews@gmail.com or the voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365. The color on this new camera is off a little bit. And I didn't spend too much time getting it dialed in last night. You guys can see on this camera, the color is much better. So the cameras have shifted. The new Sony EX1R is here, and I just got to get this one white balanced. I'm sure that's what the problem is. So if I'm looking a little ghosty tonight, I apologize. We'll get that fixed for the next show. Okay, what else on my list here? Let me look down through here. I guess that's it for now. Now let's go ahead and we've already yacked on this stuff enough. We're at 17 minutes. Let's take care of our last piece of business before we get into the content. And you guys know, longtime sponsor here, GoToMeeting. They are an essential tool, essential application for any business person. And with this economy, you got to save money. And, they've really done an amazing job. And the thing I tell people, well, Todd, there's all these other services. You can go over and check this one out, and you can check that one out, and, this is available. And I check all the products out. But I'm going to tell you, I go into a lot of meetings with a lot of different companies, and sometimes they're hosting a meeting, sometimes I am. Invariably, 50% of the time, the meetings fail with a competitor's product. Why? I don't know. But GoToMeeting works. So if you want to meet with a client or business person, you don't have to wake up early to get on an airplane or drive somewhere. You can do a meeting in your shorts and a T-shirt if you want. And they see what you see on your screen, or you can look at theirs, and you can have all the meetings you want for $49 a month. It's hassle-free, unlimited meetings. Host 5, post 100, host 1,000, and plus you get free voice IP. And really all I use is my webcam to talk into the speaker on the webcam, and that does it. So as a listener of this show, you can get a free 45-day trial. 45-day trial here by going to GoToMeeting.com. And what I want you to do is click the Try It Free button. And after you've clicked that, use the promo code podcast. Okay, use promo code podcast when you go to GoToMeeting.com. Click the Try It Free button. Again, use the promo code podcast. Forget that 45-day free trial. Thanks for GoToMeeting for being a long-time sponsor here at GNC. Well, what happened at the beginning of the show tonight was Firefox locked up the PC. I had to reboot. I got locked out of Ustream. And thank goodness Chrome recovered all the tabs, or there may not have been a show tonight. But, laugh here because the first article up is on Firefox. And I was using non-child safe words during the time that it was causing me issues. But what they have done is they have launched the Firefox Go Mobile. And this is cool. So they've got the beta up. So if you want to use the beta application, you can get this installed. And I believe it works on Android. Don't know if it's working on the iPhone yet or not. But install the beta. So you can get it at firefox.com/m/beta. And that way you can lock up your cell phone with with Firefox Go Mobile. I don't know. I don't know why it did. I think what happened was because I had so much stuff going on. I think JavaScript crashed, and that's what caused the browser to wipe out on itself. It happens every once in a while. Of course, it happens on important nights when you want to keep everything up and running. Hey, let's talk just a little bit about Apple. Boy, oh boy. You know what's next for them? You know, first they had IntelliGate, right? Now they've got Glassgate. It appears that people that are putting their iPhones into a sheath, in other words, some of these aftermarket cases, that if a little sand or dirt gets in between and scratches the back of the iPhone, it actually is causing the glass to crack and break. Now, apparently, Apple knew about this in the beginning, and one of the reasons why they did limited licensing of cases was specifically because of this issue. And apparently, they've known about this, so they're doing some additional testing now. But you guys know that I have on my 3G, I have a Mophie, right? You guys know actually, I'm starting to feel a little more confident about Mophie because I think this is the longest time I've ever had one last. What are we at now? When did I go through this last powwow with them? Was this about maybe 6 months ago? But anyway, the connector's holding tight. But they've got on the new iPhone, they've got a new case that goes on, and it looks pretty slick, looks pretty nice. I think it's priced about the same, around $70. But, you know, I'm always taking my iPhone out of my case, and then what are you doing? You know, you're wiping it on your shirt or whatever to make sure it's clean. And apparently, those that are using these types of cases where there's a space in between, that what's going on is scratching the back of the glass and causing it to break. So, any of you had any of that issue yet? Have you had your glass break or crack, or do you have scratches on the back? If you do, pay attention to it. Hey, over at Berkeley Bionics, which was actually Exoskeleton by Berkeley Bionics, was introduced today. They had the press in, and what they have done is they're given. This is really going to be remarkable. You know, folks that suffer spinal cord injuries, that become paraplegics, really have very limited mobility. You know, and it's a very sad situation. You know, people are in wheelchairs. You know, depends on where their spinal cord is injured and how much mobility they have. But this Exoskeleton by Berkeley Bionics enables paraplegics to walk, and they were demoing this today. And let me see if I can bring up a Flickr photo, and you guys can check this out. Link will be up in the show notes for those of you that are listening. But it's a 45-pound rig that the paraplegic wears, and it's robotic assist, and it allows them to stand up and move around, and it gives them about 10 hours of usage. This is impressive. I'm excited for what this means for people that don't have mobility. I really am. It could evolutionize and make. They're saying about $100,000 is what it's going to cost, but $100,000 is a cheap price to pay to be able to stand up and do things that you haven't really been fully capable of being able to do. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm not going to say that folks that are wheelchair bound don't have issue. Let me say it just better this way. Many folks that are wheelchair bound are just as capable of doing everything that we do. It's just they have the mobility issue, right? So I think this is awesome. Now they're going to start using this initially in hospitals as part of therapy, but I could see this in a couple of years being, standard fare. It's still tough, but gosh, be able to give people the ability to walk again, in a sense, even if it's mechanically assisted, it just, for me, is a wonderful. And having had my injury in June 2nd of 2004, where I was, let's be very frank, I was damn lucky. As the doc said, I was a 3%er, burst compression fracture where I had 75% displacement of my spinal cord. The only thing that saved me was I got the back side of the knife. When the bone fragment pushed down my spinal cord, it was the back, basically a dull side of my bone fragment. And if it had been sharp, that's it. I'd have been done. And the injury was at L1, so I'd have been rolling. And there nothing. What can you do? So having come very close myself, and having had a cousin who died of complications from being paralyzed, it's very sobering, and I'm excited to see this type of stuff move forward. Hey, let's talk just a little bit about Skype and Android. If you are using Skype with Android, you'll know that they've had it shackled where you haven't been able to use, you had to have it connected to to Wi-Fi in order to use it. Well, there's a hack. So now you can go ahead and get this thing connected to just use your Skype access with 3G and make all the calls you want. And pretty good reviews so far. This was over on Engadget.com. So I have a link to this up in the show notes. So if you're an Android user with a Skype application and you want to use it with your 3G and not always have to wait for you to be back on Wi-Fi, pretty cool hack to go ahead, and it's easy to implement. It really, really is. And I want to thank Andrew. He's one of our writers over at Geek News Central. He wrote an article on a do-it-yourself homemade spacecraft. And basically, it's a space balloon. It made big news all over. I think it was BBC. Everyone else covered this. But this balloon got up there. It got to 19 kilometers, and it had a video camera on board. And the camera records all of the ascent and all of about 2 minutes of the descent. So this is pretty cool stuff. And have this linked up in the show notes. A lot of folks are doing this kind of stuff now with weather balloons. And this is the third or fourth time I've seen something like this happen. I'm getting attacked by some small, tiny flies. I got the sliding glass door open with the screen. Must be it's cracked a little bit. But another one of our writers, Alan, and he is a Verizon user, and he's talks a little bit about the Verizon refund that was ordered here recently. Verizon is refunding approximately $50 million to about 15 million of its wireless customers. And what it resulted from was folks that did not have wireless plans on their phones, but maybe pushed a wrong button to connect to the net. Well, they got charged $2 to $4 every time or every month that happened. And so Alan talks about his experience with this and how they went back and tallied up how many times they were whacked with this $2 to $4 charge. And he says it makes up more than what the settlement is going to be, but he's going to be very happy to get even a small amount of money. So if you have a family plan with Verizon and you have phones that are not network connected, in other words, you're not paying the extra money for the network. Now that's what we've done in this house. I have my iPhone is data connected. My wife's iPhone, which is hacked on T-Mobile, is not. We actually turned the data plan off because she's using an iPad now, primarily for all her digital use. My kids don't have smartphones yet, so I would fall in that category if I was a Verizon user. So just go back and look at your bills a little bit, and that'll get you clued in whether or not that you're going to be eligible for this refund. I don't know how they're going to figure out who they owe who, but if you've been affected, maybe it can be a little proactive, and they've got a website set up, and you can go in and probably submit your information. All right, we talked about last show about that guy that found the GPS tracker on his under his car. Well, it was just a couple days, and the FBI came knocking and asked very nicely for the device back, and the 20-year-old gave it to them. I'm sure that some people probably would have been compelled to have thrown it in a lake or a reservoir or aqueduct or something, and he did not. Probably at the advice of his lawyer. They probably sent him a bill for it, but he gave the data back, and what they said at the end was kind of amusing here. He says, Afee's encounter with the FBI ended with the agents telling him not to worry. Quote unquote, they say, "We have all the information we need," they told him. "You don't need to call your lawyer. Don't worry, you're boring." If the FBI had a GPS tracker under my car and came to my door and said, you don't have to worry about anything. We have all the information we need. You're boring. I would be like, well, I would have already called my lawyer to begin with or hired one. There is just, you hear, because you're thinking, okay, what's next? Are they going to come back and put handcuffs on me? Now, of course, this all originated because of these rules where law enforcement is allowed to walk onto your property and put a device like this on your vehicle. His father had some ties back to the Middle East that they were worried about, and they were watching him, I guess. So we'll see how this plays out. I'm sure there's going to be more to this story as time goes on, but a lot of law firms have said, hey, we want to take this on. So time will tell where this leads to. Now, if this wasn't October 8th, I would have to really question this next article. Talks about an Israeli Defense Department has designed the world's smallest gyroscope, powered by laser, and is as small as a single grain of sand. There's no way. I'm reading this, I'm like, give me a break. It says here that the Israeli Department of Defense has cooked up the world's smallest gyroscope, powered by lasers, and as small as a grain of sand. The new gyros are sensitive enough to track your position and movements anywhere. No GPS required. Whatever. Grain of sand, GPS tracker. There is simply no way. No way, no how. If someone's out there as an electrical engineer and can say this is gyros in airplanes are like this big, okay? They're about this big. They really are. They're huge. We know that there's gyros, some sort of gyro in a cell phone or in your iPhones, or a sensor, movement sensor, when you can do this. But there's no way a full-blown gyro that can navigate and tell where you are. Impossible. Gizmodo got sucked in. They really, really did. So, anyway, we'll see how this one plays out as well. Hey, Justin Bieber from Jacksonville, Florida. Yeah, sadly, he's got that name. Gosh, can you imagine? Well, apparently, he's been kicked off Facebook because Facebook thinks that he was like there's not how many Justin Biebers in the United States. I'm sure there's a few. I'm not unique. A lot of people have my same name. But anyway, he gets fan mail. People call his cell phone. Can you imagine being an adult married and getting fan mail from teenagers? That's if they're including checks and cash, that's one thing. But are you considered weird if you open the mail, considering they don't know they're sending to the wrong person? Would you look to see if there was cash? What'd you guys do? If your name was Justin Bieber and you were getting envelopes from fans, I'd almost be afraid to open them, though. What would you do? What would you do? I'm just kind of curious. Little mind game question here. Would you shred them? Would you open just to see if there was any cash? I don't know. But he gets about 20 to 30 a day. So, wow. This next article over on Gizmodo. When I saw this, I watched the video. It's of a young kid who won a contest with the Rose Center, the American Museum of Natural History's Rose Center Anniversary Video Contest. He won this. This was the winning entry. And the title of this article is that the 2-year-old knows more about space than you do. Let me just play. See if I can. It has a bunch of text in the beginning. Let me start it here. Let me give you the pretense. You're 2-year-old, and he's looking at a book, and he's talking about the planets, and that to me was pretty believable.
Space.
You do? He loves space. Of Cool. And there's a text, we started small.
Mercury.
What's that one?
Venus.
What's this one?
Earth. Mars. Jupiter. Saturn. Uranus. Neptune.
So this is pretty good. Okay, 2-year-olds, kids learn just planets. I think that's cool. Okay.
Pluto is a dwarf planet. I love the phases of the moon.
They break it every time.
Hey, show me orbiting.
So what I really think, it really, to me, kind of, it's I understand what they've done here, and I'm not gonna say that the child doesn't know but he goes a little bit deeper, and he starts talking interesting, and it looks to me to be, I'd like to see the whole video without it being cut and without text being put in. I really would. And it's okay. The mom did it's cute. I admit it's cute. You know, so I don't have any problem with that. But the parent basically says he knows more about space than I do. How's that? You're teaching him. He's 2 years old. He can't know more about space than you do. And it's cute, but it looks just a little hokey in the department of doctored for, you know, okay, now I want you to say, I want to see the magnetic lines of Mars or whatever. You know, he goes into these, you know, pretty large lines that you would not expect to hear out of a 2-year-old. But maybe he is the next Einstein. Who knows? All right, let's talk just a little about the .ly domain. And Libya, of course, you know, they gave up on their nuclear technology a number of years ago. But Libya's morality police have cracked down on a number of URL shortening services because they were running basically immoral websites. The one website had a picture of a scantily clad lady with some bottle in her hand, and I looked at the website, and all it was is she was just wearing a tank top. She had some tattoos. There was nothing, you know, in American standards, nothing that would make anyone go, you know, just like you see people like this walking down the street every day. And but the Libyan government has said that basically Sharia law to do with the Muslim faith was the reason this type of activity was not allowed, and they shut them down. They basically revoked the domain name. Now, there's a lot of those sites using the .ly as a short link. Bitly's one. Let's see, what was the name of the site that actually got pulled? It was Nick, NIC.ly. They got pulled off. They just basically shut down. Now, here's the thing that's scary. You have a country like Libya that, okay, for all intents and purposes, probably gets a hair up their butt once in a while and wants to make a statement. So what are they going to do? They're going to make an impact on individuals, companies in the United States that are doing, you know, different things with those .lys that happen within the internet space. But can you imagine being an investor today who just went in a second round of funding to Bitly and just dropped $10 million off? Can you imagine being held hostage by the Libyan government? So, you know, if the Libyans get a little, you know, hurt up for cash, they call Bitly up and said, "Oh, by the way, you send us $1 million, and we'll call it even. We won't shut your domain name down. If you don't, yeah, we're going to shut you down." If I was a company that had a .ly name, I would be looking for an immediate exit strategy. I would be setting things up to move off the .ly domain name immediately. I mean, I would not even cough. I would be like, that would be priority number one. Because if they're going to do this to a variety of websites and maybe even regain them for their own control, they can't be trusted. Absolutely cannot be trusted. So, love to hear what you guys think about this. And I don't think the internet can do nothing. It's the .ly is their domain. So stick with the .com, folks. That's, and the ones that are with countries that you can trust. Let's talk about Google TV. Obviously, I'm switching topics here. GigaOM has a good article, and I was over at the Logitech website. I had put in all my information, and I was really a microsecond away from clicking the place advance order. And I said, this thing is $299. $299, and what am I going to get? And I closed my browser window. GigaOM saying the same thing. Google TV is pricing itself out of the market. Now, I got to thinking about it a little for a few minutes. And I said, well, Boxy, $199 or $299 or whatever that was for an advance order. Apple TV, $99. The Roku starts at $59. What do I want to watch on a Google TV that I can't watch on the Roku or on the Apple TV? Probably nothing. So I actually did not buy, advance order, a Google TV. How many of you went out and bought the Logitech Review? Did any of you go out and get it? So, and it's a weird solution. You plug out of your cable box into this, and then or before the cable box, I don't know. It's really weird how it works. So you have to do a bunch of rewiring. Most people are not going to want to do that. Google TV pricing has come through, and I'm thinking they're looking at, okay, great, let's see what that's going to be. Well, their 32-inch TV that they're going to bring on the market is probably going to sell under $1,000, barely. The 40-inch is $1,299. I thought, $1,299 for a 40-inch. Even the Samsung TV that's a 40 with apps is cheaper than $1,299. 46-inch version is $14.99, and the 40-inch is, the 40-inch is $14.99, and the 46-inch is $18.99. I know you pay a premium for Sony usually, but that's a big premium. And they say it's largely because of the chipsets that they have to use. They have to use Intel inside to make that happen. So how many of you scared of the Logitech Review $299 price point? Love to hear your feedback. geeknews@gmail.com. Voicemail hotline 619-342-7365. Let's talk here just a second about Facebook. And, honest with you, first of all, I'll tell you a little secret. I was talking with a group of folks today, and I'm like, how much time are you spending on Facebook? And these were pretty geeky dudes. And we're like, maybe over a month I'll spend an hour and a half. And, I probably spend maybe 5 minutes, usually maybe 5 minutes a day on Facebook. That would be about my time. And one thing I've noticed, and since my mom's been here, she spends a lot of time on Facebook. Now, nothing against that. That's, she's meeting with friends and talking and chatting. But the way she uses Facebook and the way that I use Facebook are completely different. And it really made me realize, man, Facebook is really, really making a deep impact on the amount of time people stay on the, within the actual Facebook.com website. So, and people, continue to use it, play the games, and, meet with friends, family members, so on and so forth. So you would expect by now, with all the stuff that's been going on with Facebook, that if they tried to roll something out that would once again impact privacy, that people would scream bloody murder. Well, Facebook rolled out a new service that was basically Facebook groups. And, I just, it was one of those things. I read maybe an article on it, and I said, okay, forget about it. Well, I woke up yesterday, and I had about probably 20 to 25 emails in my inbox showing that I had been invited to a bunch of groups. And I thought, and I looked through them, they were friends of mine, people I know, some of the stuff I was interested in, some I wasn't. I thought, that's weird. I didn't ask to join a group. Well, that's the thing. You can be just added to a group now without anyone's permission. Some people have been added to some groups that there'd be no way that I would want to be listed on, or even some I'd be. And no, let's put it this way: some people have been invited to some groups that you would be appalled to be invited to, and they really had no choice. People just drug them in. So I'm during getting ready for the show tonight. I said, okay, I want to go look at what the other techies are saying, the early adopters. Scoble was excited. He's saying, hey, Facebook does this better than Twitter for their list. He said, I've already built a half a dozen groups in my Facebook profile. He said it's a feature that is done right. He says, boy, I can add more than 500 people. I can have more than 20 lists. I can keep things separated, blah, 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 blah. And I thought, okay, Scoble sees this as an opportunity. So I thought, do I want to just be added to a list? I don't know. Then I went back and I saw this big response by Jason Calacanis, who's not even supposed to have a Facebook account anymore. He's supposed to be away from Facebook. And he's complaining about privacy and he's being added to stuff. And, so I have this link up, and there's this contrast and compare here on what different people think about Facebook. And I thought, this is pretty interesting. It really is. Of course, TechCrunch calls out Jason Calacanis. GigaOM links to it. So where do you think this is? You like being added to groups without really any choice? How do you feel about it? Do you think Facebook has crossed the line? Do you think they would get a pass that I just can't imagine auto-adding people to something just because I want to. But that's what Facebook has done. Had to laugh. Dave Weiner, he has got a number of servers and different things. He says, hey, how to blow up a server in one mouse click. And he basically turned on a firewall within his server without, whitelisting his IP, and completely locked himself out of his box. And he says, this is a virtual server. There's no place to push a switch. He says, I have to kill it and reprovision it. He's scratching his head. Well, I guess I won't do that again. So I thought me think we got a bunch of virtual stuff. I wonder how that's provisioned so that in case somebody does something stupid like that, it could really impact you. Anyway, I had to laugh what Dave had to say. Hey, those of you that are in the UK know we have a large number of you that listen to the show. I know many of you are using Spotify. And there's a good write-up on CNET today talking about how Spotify is trying to get in the United States and has missed a couple of their own deadlines, and now they're hoping to basically break into the market by December 31st. But they're getting a little bit of pushback from the labels, in that the labels don't believe in their ad-supported model. And Apple has kind of put up a little bit of a roadblock too, saying, well, we don't think these guys can do this. This is, we don't think that they're going to cause devalue music even more, blah, blah, blah. Well, a little self-serving for Apple. You're paying your 99 cents for a single, right? And they don't want this company that's going to come in and have essentially free service, but it's, all advertising supported. The old guard continues to throw up roadblocks. It really does. All right, parents, how many of you, as soon as your kids were born, put something up on your Facebook, put something up on your blog, registered a domain name for them? I did. There's a study out that says 92% of U.S. 2-year-olds have an online record. So that's pretty good. A study commissioned by the security company AVG found that 92% of U.S. children had some type of online presence by the time they are 2 years old. A third of U.S. mothers posted pictures of newborns, and 34% of U.S. moms said they had posted sonograms of their as-yet unborn child. A study conducted by Research Now surveyed 2,200 mothers with young children in the United States, UK, Germany, France, Italy, Spain, Canada, Australia, New Zealand, and Japan during the week of September 27th. So, according to the study, the average digital birth of children worldwide happens at about 6 months, with a third of children having photos of them posted online within 2 weeks of birth. I'm guilty. I had stuff up there online. Hey, over in the Wall Street Journal today, there's a good write-up on Ford. And the reason I want to point you towards this is Walt Mossberg got the basically got to drive a brand new 2011 Ford Edge Limited SUV. Of course, a nice A-lister like that gets to drive one of those nice cars for 2 weeks. But he talks about the new Ford Sync, and it's actually called My Touch Ford. And excuse me, My Ford Touch. It's not. That's the new name for it. And when I was out visiting Ford, they had them in the Lincolns as well, and I was actually in the Lincoln MKX with the My Lincoln Touch, using that system and getting an interview. So along with the article tonight that I'm going to put up on this new features that are being brought to a variety of new Ford models, I'm going to go ahead and link my interview that I did back at Ford so that you can see the how the new application, the new My Ford Touch works. And of course, again, it's going to be on the Lincoln, but it basically works just about the same. With, it's pretty close to the nuances there. I actually got an email today too from CES that I believe the Ford CEO is going to be keynoting at the event in Vegas. We'll of course have a team there ready to cover that. So Ford is really moving forward. I'll be honest, they are leaving a lot of different vendors in the dust. And if you're looking for a new vehicle, some of this technology that they're bringing to market and putting in these cars from a geek standpoint, a connectivity standpoint, is really, really cool. But they are, some of these newer features that are in the My Ford Touch are in some of the higher end models. So keep you advised on that, and hopefully we can get a little more information from the folks over at Ford on that. Hey, let's talk just a little bit about Patch Tuesday. That's, as a matter of fact, I saw a notice on my machine that the patches are ready to install. You're going to get 16 patches. These are the most ever for a Patch Tuesday. There are 4 criticals. It looks like there's about, 10 important and 2 moderates. So this is a big, huge number here. So expect to have to reboot your computer, or have your computer having rebooted in the morning. This should not come as any surprise to you, but the anti-peer-to-peer law firms who are out there going after folks that are sharing videos have sued more people in 2010 than the RIAA has ever done. And there's also this is happening in the UK as well. But what's going on is this law firm has been hiring a peer-to-peer detection company, which then goes out and sucks down all the IPs, and then they go ahead and do these mass filings. So 18,000 people were only, in the RIAA's time, only 18,000 people were ever served. And we're already seeing that this year, folks going after this U.S. Copyright Group have already went after 16,000 themselves. The Media Copyright Corp out of Illinois, they've done about 1,200 so far. The IO Group in California, they went after a huge number as well. So there's all these variety of different companies. We got the Copyright Defense Agency of Texas. They went after 670 John Does. So far, 24,000 John Doe or Jane Doe lawsuits have been filed between January and October, exceeding the number that the RIAA had ever done. So, they're going after movie peer-to-peer violators in a big, big way. So just stay away from it. Warn your kids, please, or you're going to end up on the receiving end of one of their lawsuits. Hey, we're on the BBC today. There's a good article talking about an initiative that is being led by, I believe it's the Prime Minister's wife. Let me look here. No, it's actually being championed by Sherry Blair, the wife of former British Prime Minister Tony Blair and U.S. Secretary of State Hillary Clinton. They are trying to put in 150 million women's hands cell phones. And what they're finding in third world countries is that, and this is a pretty remarkable here, a woman living in sub-Saharan Africa is 23% likely than a man to own a mobile phone, according to research. It goes on to say this figure rises to 24% in the Middle East and increases again to 37% for women living in South Asia. It found if in total it found 300 million fewer women than men in developing countries owned a mobile device. And a new initiative called M Women proposes to have this gender gap within 3 years. And again, they want to provide 150 million phones to impoverished women throughout the world. And they talk about how the program has already had huge success in that they've been able to get a large number of phones into business owners, women business owners throughout impoverished countries, and they have been able to increase their business productivity and profitability 25, 30, 40% just by having a cell phone. If you think about it, think about how we do business here in the United States. A lot of business is done over the cell phone. So this is a pretty exciting, and I didn't even really think about that from a cause perspective and helping women in other countries. But this is a cool one by the BBC. But again, the initiative is to supply millions of mobile phones. I'll have the link up there to the BBC article. Those of you that live in the UK, of course, you've probably heard about how British Telecom is being required to open its fiber network, and it's been ordered by Ofcom. So Ofcom has required BT to allow competitors control of its fiber cables in a move designated to promote the take-up of super-fast broadband services. Now, the only thing that's different here is BT is going to be able to set their own pricing on this. So I don't know how that's going to work out. We'll see if BT plays nice or if they get aggressive. Now, another part of the rule is that they have to allow competitors to use the poles and piping that routes a lot of the fiber in the country right now. So we'll see how this works out. And those of you that live in the UK, maybe you can comment to me by emailing me here at geeknews@gmail.com or the voicemail hotline at 619-342-7365 and let me know what you think of this new ruling. And there's a rumor going around that Microsoft and Adobe met today to talk about something, and it's being rumored that they are talking about Apple and how to best combat them. Unnamed sources are reporting that Microsoft CEO Steve Ballmer has met with Adobe CEO Shantanu Narayan to discuss maybe a potential merger. So stock prices was up on Adobe, of course, on this rumor. So we'll see what happens. Microsoft declined to comment. Adobe acknowledged that Ballmer and Narayan had met. So we'll see. We'll see if this develops into it. What would you think about Microsoft buying Adobe? Would that be smart? Yeah, I think so. I think that would be really smart. Can they afford it? Yeah, they got plenty of bees in the bank. Something I think that Microsoft is trying to become more proactive on too, and this is a security concern, is they're pitching that ISPs and so forth throughout the country develop what they're calling a PC, personal computer isolation ward, where they will detect a PC that's doing something that it shouldn't be done, like doing a botnet or being a relay for email. So what they're trying to do is PCs are going to be issued a health certificate, and to prove that they are up to date and everything that they need to be up to date on. And they're also going to start considering quarantining PCs that are not being updated and so forth, where if someone's machine is hacked, they basically say, hey, we're just going to shut your port down until you get fixed. Maybe let you download the patches you need and so forth, but that's about it. So interesting that Microsoft is proposing this. Another battle on the battlefront to beat hackers. Hey, we've got some folks on the way to the International Space Station, and upgraded Soyuz blast off on a flight to the space station. So I guess it's got a new avionics package, and here's something that's kind of scary. I was reading this article, and this is this new upgraded Soyuz spacecraft has an untested re-entry flight control system. I'm thinking to myself, untested re-entry flight control system. You got to get that thing lined up just right. Wouldn't they have not flown this at least once? I guess we'll find out in about 6 months when they bring this spacecraft back. It hopefully is a safe ride. Looking at the time here. The Los Angeles Times article talks about genetically modified corn helping protect non-engineered corn. You know, I have to laugh because having grown up in the Midwest, I don't think there's anything as non-engineered corn at this point. I think all corn has been engineered to a certain extent. But some corn that is being has been essentially bioengineered to resist what is the actual bug that keeps attacking corn? What is it? It's the European corn borer, which is widespread past the United States. By having genetically modified corn in some fields and supposedly non-engineered cousins in another, the genetically modified is actually having such an effect on the corn borer that it's causing a decline in crop damage with the non-bio engineered corn. So I think that's pretty cool. You know, corn's in everything we eat, touch, taste, drink, I think, at this point. But they're saying has a major impact, and it's always good for production. Not being said whether or not we're all eating this bioengineered corn or not, but I almost bet we are. Hey, a spacecraft out there that's been doing a lot of great work, the Wilkinson Microwave Anisotropy Probe, has finished its job. NASA has put it in a they had a graveyard orbit around the sun. Why didn't they just drive it into the sun if they want to get rid of it? But launched in 2001, this spacecraft set out to unravel some of the most fundamental questions in modern cosmology. How old is the universe, and what happened when the universe was born? And it came up with a huge amount of science that scientists are going to be poring over for another 10 years. And it talks about the Big Bang, about the heat of the galaxy, and a whole bunch of stuff. So I have a link up to the show notes on this, and it really looked at the complete galaxy and did mapping, and pretty cool. But it's finished its mission, and it's going in a graveyard orbit. The patent office is staying busy. They've already surpassed last year's patent total, so they've been a little bit better in getting patents reviewed. I know that one of our patents has been through a couple of rounds this year where we haven't heard nothing from them in years. But anyway, so patent totals are up, which is good. So the approvals declines and in challenges, of course. The ASCAP, oh man. You know, you guys know. I talked so much about the RIAA and ASCAP in the past. You guys know I'm not a big fan, right? Here's what the ASCAP is telling artists. ASCAP cut payments to some of its ASCAP Plus program members by 20 to 30%. Unfortunately, because of the fiscal climate, less money was available this year for the award program. ASCAP sent in a letter to those receiving checks. Huh. Here's something that contradicts that. In a press release 5 months ago, it claimed it was bringing in more money than ever. Music is performed more often in more places in more ways by more businesses than ever. The expanded music use combined with dramatic ASCAP membership growth, market share increase, and effective strategic management have led to stunning revenue and distribution growth of 2009. But yet, here they are in 2010, and they are going to reduce payments by 20 to 30% because they have no money. ASCAP's just taking more money and put in their pockets. Follow the money, folks. Let's just talk I know we're already over an hour here, but let's talk just a little bit about the DMCA versus political speech. We've all heard, we probably get sick of them already, these political campaigns. I talked to you guys a little bit about how the NFL went after Feingold's political ad because he had a background of an NFL game or something, and he didn't even get a takedown notice, and he removed the ad. The Center for Democracy and Technology has released a report looking at the numerous DMCA takedowns of such political commercials, highlighting in almost every case the use was almost certainly fair use. But because these folks are just acquiescing, this is going to impact us in a negative way as these companies build their cases to try to stifle fair use of content that's available to use in a fair use capability, or fair use way. So, good article over on Tech Dirt. But what do you guys think? You think that Feingold should have, acquiesced to the NFL? Or should he have said, no, this is just fair use. I'm just showing a little background clip. You ought to be thankful that I did. At the same time, I know artists are having DMC takedown notices sent out whenever their music is played, that there's, because they maybe don't like the political candidate. And, it's a copyright. Violated my copyright. Please don't play my music at your events anymore. Isn't artists' music supposed to be appreciated and not, politicized? So I'd love to hear your guys' feedback on DMCA versus political speech or free speech or our speech or blogger speech or podcast or talk, anything. So geeknews@gmail.com. Hey, PC World has a good article on Google TV versus Apple TV versus Roku set-top box SmackDown. This is another review. Have this link in the show notes. Not going to go into it too deep because we've already talked about that a little bit. Hey, the European Space Agency has, I actually should have done this in the space section, but they've been making one of their probes fly directly through the atmosphere of Venus to slow down the spacecraft a little bit to get it in a shorter orbit. And they've been finding that Venus has a lot thinner atmosphere than what they had predicted, and they're trying to really get that nailed down. Now, they're going to try next year, actually 2012, they're going to try to get down to 87 miles above the surface for their final air braking. And so this is going to be kind of cool to watch. We'll keep you updated on that. But this spacecraft only has until 2015. Right now it's on a 24-hour orbit. They want to reduce that to a 12-hour orbit to get more time on Venus, really to just get more science out of it before the satellite dies because it runs out of fuel for orbit adjustments. So we'll keep an eye on that. And over on Universe Today, they got a great graphic of history of the universe. I have that linked up in the show notes. Remember we talked about in the last show how Apple had allowed a BitTorrent app to go into the iPhone App Store? It's not there anymore. They kicked it out. It's gone. So that should not come as a surprise to anyone. And if you get into FedEx shipping centers anytime soon, they've turned the Wi-Fi back on, so you'll be able to get Wi-Fi access within FedEx stores. All right, let me go ahead here and get into the email real quick. Actually, I got to reload the email client. Never did that after the computer went nuts. And let me go ahead and load up the email for today. Again, don't forget we had a winner. The winner tonight is Phil Olberg. He's the winner of the Roku for our Millions and Millions Served contest. Congratulations to him. And we'll probably do another contest here starting in November as we start getting ramped up for our 2011 CES coverage. We're still trying to close the door on all our sponsors. If you have a contact within a company that you think would be a great sponsor for our CES 2011 coverage, we'd love to talk to them. And if it results in an advertising deal, we'll pay a 10% finder's fee for that. I got an email here from Scott in Texas. He said, hey, I think you've mentioned this software before. Maybe I heard it on another podcast. But the software offered by Saluto supposedly organizes and optimizes your boot sequence, improving boot times dramatically. Dude, this thing, that rocks. That software, it took my laptop from like a 6-minute boot to a minute 23. Honestly, it really sped up the boot time. Now, what it does, it delays the start of some of the other applications that maybe you don't need to have up on the taskbar right away. So while I'm still able to do stuff within a couple of minutes, the other stuff is loading slowly in the background. He says, also, I wanted to mention that I was considering unsubscribing from your podcast because most of the articles you cover are usually also covered by other podcasts I listen to, like Buzz Out Loud, and I find your podcast a bit dry and commercialized. I since changed my mind because you've efforts to bring in not so mainstream content in your coverage of aircraft, spacecraft related news. You have rekindled my interest, and I want to thank you for all the hard work you put in your show. Keep up the good work. Aloha, Scott. Scott, thanks for staying part of the family. And I try to mix it up, and I try to dig stuff up that hasn't been found. You know, it's tough. Everything is pretty instant these days, and a lot of you are really dialed in. So I dig through, and if you have some sites that you are, you have stashed away that you think are good ones for the show that I can use for review, send me that list of shows. I'm always willing to get new sources to review for content. And we've always tried to cover the space stuff and mix it up a little bit. but definitely adding the new mix of content sites has helped quite a little bit. So thanks for that. And thanks for being part of the Ohana. Got an email from Bob. He said, hey, Todd, last looping was at 4 minutes and 30 seconds. Yep, that's exactly right. We got that fixed, Bob. So hopefully that won't happen again. He says, Todd, on your last show, you had any problem with the audio looping? He says, I wanted to let you know I had the same issue. But anyway, I re-downloaded the show. It was good. He says, have you changed anything you send in your newsletters? I have not received my newsletter from the last 2 shows. We're going to find out what's going on there, Nick. We really will. He says, P.S. You should have several people write in and say that you shouldn't talk so much at the beginning of the show. But I like the show the way it is. Wait, you have had several people write in and say that you shouldn't talk so much at the beginning of the show. But I like the show the way it is, and I don't think you should change it. But I did have one suggestion that might help with that issue. What if you put the time that the Tech Act News actually starts in the show notes? That way, anyone listening only wants the tech news could skip ahead and point in the show and listen from there. You want to still have them listen to the advertisements, Nick. No, I'm just kidding. 15 to 17 minutes is usually the prime, or even 12 to 17 is usually the prime. For anyone that's listening, if you want to skip the beginning chatter, that's where you usually go, okay? And I'll think about doing that, but I'm gonna have to start writing that down. It's just another step. But good suggestion nonetheless, Nick. I thank you so much. Hey, Todd, yes, I experimented with the famous looping show, but I listened to the show the next day, and I noticed it. Re-download the show, the problem was gone. He says, so again, another person that had a problem with the looping, hopefully that's all fixed up. Now, this next writer, I can't say who his name is because he's asked me not to. He says, Todd, the story you had regarding the 5 microcent improvement latency for traders to and from your offer only affects those that trade in overseas markets. Generally, what happens is you put in a buy or sell order with your broker. They electronically submit that to their own internal clearing, then on to a clearing agent that has a license to sit on the floor of the market. They actually perform the trade on the broker's behalf, and it eventually makes its way back to you. For most companies, the desire to be able to perform your own clearing, meaning you do the actual trade on the stock exchange floor yourself and cut out the middleman and thus speed up the transaction time. You also want to have a powerful trading platform and hardware to run it on capable of performing thousands of trades per second. If a trade is not executed when it was set to be completed, many companies will cover the difference in the trade, so speed is of essence. It says, for example, when you submit a trade, it is done by a machine. That way, you get the same speed as any other program machine executing a trade. In fact, that is how most companies perform trades now, hence the huge market drop about 5 months ago when another broker mistakenly submitted a sell order. So huge, it caused a 1,000-point drop in the market. Really, what this 5 rule will do is improve those brokers that deal in overseas trading, the ability to trade in those markets faster, and since they're generally trading on your behalf, you reap the benefits. Thank you for the submitter of that, and very cool stuff. Nice to have insiders that can give us a little more insight on this type of stuff. And again, that was talking about the transatlantic fiber that's being installed to get 5 microseconds of faster trading on those overseas markets. So pretty cool. All right, Trucker Tom sent me a link talking about media industry struggles as power shifts to the consumer. And this is a good one. This is stuff I've been preaching for a while, and I think you guys will agree with me when you read this. Have this link up in the show notes. Thanks for Trucker Tom for having this as well. He got an email from Jason. Let me look at the time here. He says, yeah, I'm good. I just finished listening to your last episode, and I had been waiting to hear what you had to say about the Apple TV. He says, I agree with you. It's a disappointment. Here's my short review. Small, too small. The weight of my power network and HDMI cable actually lift the front of it off the ground, pull it back with the weight of the cables. Also, I don't know if the size is the reason they got rid of the component connections, but because of that, I can't even use it on one of my older TVs without an HDMI port. No hard drive. This is a minor issue since it is one of the reasons they were able to drop the price, but still negative since now I can't load it up from my friend's house to watch my content or browse my photos. Number 3, linking to computers. It seems Apple's clearly made the choice to make your content second class on the Apple TV before you have to use the main home screen, movie, TV shows, picture, podcasts, and music. When you selected one, it would have submenus to easily access your own content or online iTunes content together. Now they have completely gotten rid of the music and pictures since this is not streamable from iTunes, and movies, podcasts, and TV shows only show online content, none of my content. To get to my content, I have to go to computers and select a library. Then after that, I finally see a menu for pictures, music, movie, podcasts, and TV shows. So as right now, the home screen is useless to me since I want to review my content primarily. Number 4, amount of content in Canada. We don't even have a TV show menu on the home screen since there's no deals yet with any TV networks here. So I removed it since there would be nothing to show. Also, Netflix in Canada works, but the amount of content up there to stream is far more limited than in the U.S. So people outside the U.S., the home screen is even less useful since whole sections are missing. And for people outside U.S. and Canada, you don't even get Netflix. It's even worse. So thanks, Jason, for your review. Jim had provided me the link on the app, the peer-to-peer app being removed from the store. I think that's it for email comments. Kind of played this out of order. I got a 40-second voicemail. We'll play that here, and then we'll get you guys out of here. Here we go. Okay, maybe.
Do you want more money?
Oh my God.
Rod.
You know, there's one of those spam hotline calls. Thank you very much. Yes, I need more money. If you want to send me some money, Mr. Spammer, voicemail spammer, you can write me a check as big as you want, and I hope it comes out of your checkbook. So, all right, folks, it's been fun. Even though we had a crazy start tonight, some of you were on watching the stream, and I went away for 20 minutes. Thanks for hanging with me and being patient. Technology is grand until it screws up a little bit. But as always, if you have comments on today's show, geeknews@gmail.com. Hotline is open 24 hours a day, 7 days a week at 619-342-7365. Thank you for being here 6 glorious years. Thank you to all the sponsors that have made it possible. Thanks to the audience members. Without you, really, there's no reason for me to even do the show. And that's what it boils down to. Thanks for being part of the Ohana, being part of the family. And I look forward to a stronger continuing and growth of the show as the years progress. It's still being fun. I'm having fun doing the show. And I said that I would do this until I quit having fun. I'm having a blast. Thanks so much. Everyone take care. We'll see you next time. Aloha.